Thank you for joining us once again for another installation of Kingdom Thinking. You will be about what you think about. We're going to continue in our series here, Unshakable, standing firm in a world of uncertainty. Our subject today, we're going to talk about navigating uncertainty with confidence. So let's get started. Our key verses are coming from the book of Psalms 46, verses 1 through 3, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Now, we're living in uncertain times, from economic instability to personal trials, global unrest to unexpected health challenges. Life can often feel like a storm with no end in sight. But the good news is we serve a God who is never uncertain. While the world may be shaky, God is our solid rock. Our key verse in Psalms 46, 1 through 3 reads, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in times of trouble. Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 tells us, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not to your own understanding, that in all of your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. So today, let us explore how we can navigate life's uncertainties with unshakable confidence by placing our full trust in God, by knowing that God is our refuge and strength, trusting in God's sovereignty, and knowing that confidence comes from who God is, not what we know. So let's jump right into the lesson. God is our refuge and strength, Psalms 46, 1 through 3. He is, as David says, a very present help in the time of trouble. In other words, he's not distant. He's not a distant observer, but an active deliverer in our lives and in our life's affairs. This verse is more than poetic comfort, people. It is a theological anchor in times of crisis. David is not speaking about a God who sits in heaven watching us from afar. Now, I know that we've been taught that he sits high and he looks low. But David is describing a God who steps into the storm with us. David, when he speaks about God, it's as if God is right there with him. And that's how we must see God. That's how we must feel God. That's how we must experience God, a very present help. That means that he is immediately accessible to us. He is intimately involved with us, and he is completely attentive to our situation. We must know that. Even though at sometimes it may feel like God is silent or that he's absent in the midst of our chaotic lives, it feels that God has forgotten about us from time to time. But I'm going to tell you today that feelings are not facts. According to Matthew 1:23, we know that he shall be called Emmanuel, meaning what? God with us. Not that God will be with us, that he's with us. He doesn't always remove the trouble, but if not, he will sustain us in the midst of that trouble. You see, the earth may shake, but God doesn't. Even if the very ground we walk on crumbles, we don't have to be shaken in the midst of that crumbling. Our confidence isn't in the stability of the world, people, but in the unchanging nature of God himself. You see, this passage reminds us that we can have peace in the midst of chaos, not in the absence of chaos, but in the midst of the storm. When the winds are blowing contrary to us, yet we are at peace. Why? Because we know Jesus is with us. He's on board our ship. David tells us that God's presence is our peace, not our circumstances. When we can only feel at peace when we have food on the table and a roof over our head or money in the bank, we are trusting in the wrong God. True trust, truly trusting in God, lets us know no matter the circumstances, He is our rock in a weary land and a shelter in the time of storm. When everything is unstable, we know that His promises found in His word are still our anchor. Because why? We trust in Him. You see, trusting in God's sovereignty, Proverbs 3, 5 through 6 tells us that we need to trust in the Lord how? With all our heart, not some of our heart. You see, because trusting with all your heart is more than just an invitation. It is a divine instruction on how to live with stability in the midst of an unstable world. You see, trusting God is not just about what we say with our lips. It's about where we place our confidence and how we fully release control in the midst of our chaotic lives. You see, we don't trust God partially. We must trust God wholeheartedly. Partial trust is going to say, God, I believe you until I don't understand you. A wholehearted trust in God is going to say, God, even when I can't see or understand my circumstances, I still believe you, Lord. You see, divine trust, divided trust. Divided trust leads to anxiety. Full trust leads to peace. Isaiah 26 and 3 tells us the prophet prophesies concerning the trusting of God. And I paraphrase this verse. He says, the Lord will keep his people in perfect peace, whose minds are stayed on him because they trust in him. You see, trying to serve two masters will never work. Trying to serve God and your understanding will never work out for you. It leads to internal conflict. As Jesus says in Matthew 6 and 24, you cannot serve two gods. You can't serve God and mammon. True peace is not the absence of problems, people. It is the presence of trust in God's control. When you lean to your own understanding, chaos is going to consume you. But when you trust God in the midst of it, peace engulfs you that surpasses all natural understanding. You see, when we don't lean to our own understanding, we understand that our perspective is limited. But God sees the whole picture. Uncertainty will tempt us to take control of the situation. But peace comes when we find the ability to trust God and surrender our mind, our hearts, and our soul to Him in the midst of every uncertain task in our lives. You see, submission is the key, isn't it? When we learn how to submit and acknowledge Him in all things, in all your ways, do what? Acknowledge Him and He shall direct your path. When you invite God into every area of your life, your plans, your relationships, and all of your decisions, He promises to direct our path. But to know that, you need to know that direction doesn't always mean immediate clarity, but it always means purposeful guidance, continual trust in God, will allow you to get the right perspective in what it is you should get out of the storm. You see, when you're going through the storm with trust and confidence in God, the only thing you need to be looking for is, how do I grow? How do I learn? And how do I serve no matter what road he leads me down? Because you know this for sure, that no matter which road he leads you down, you know that as long as he is leading me and I'm following, all things are going to work out for my good. You see, in the end, you know that we win. Huh? You know this because you know your confidence comes from who God is, not what you know. So when life presents you the dilemma to answer the questions of why, you can say, I don't know, but I know the one that does. And I'm going to follow him in the storm, through the storm, and out of the storm, because I know he know, and I'm going to follow the one I know that knows. You see, because see, our foundation is in God's character. Hmm? We know the character of God. Hebrews 10 and 23 states, let us hold fast the profession of our faith without wavering. Why? For he is faithful that promised. You see, that's a character. That's God's character. God is faithful. We know God is loving. We know God is sovereign. No one made him God. He's God all by himself. I remember the question was asked, who made God? The answer was, where, or not who made God, but where did God come from? The answer was, he came from nowhere, for there was no place for him to come from, seeing that all things exist in him. You see, that gives us the confidence to know that when life is uncertain and circumstances are unstable, the only unshakable ground we can stand on is the unchanging character of God. Our faith isn't built on our ability to predict the outcomes or avoid hardship, but it's built on who God is and how he has always been. From the very foundation of the world, our faith is built on nothing less than Jesus Christ and his righteousness. You see, our faith allows us to focus. Our faith in his promise focuses us in the midst of the storm. This is how we navigate. We navigate because we keep his promises squarely before us. We keep our eyes, in other words, on the prize. We don't need to know every step, just the one who orders those steps. Our faith is not anchored in what we can explain. It's rooted in who we trust. It doesn't require full visibility, only full obedience. See, we need to obey. Faith is forward facing because it's always moving in the direction of God's promise. And therefore, if we are faithful and we are trusting and have the proper expectations in God's promises, we're always looking forward to something coming because we know Jesus is on his way back. Not just our current view of things is going to be what shapes our future view of things. Faith isn't just about endurance, people, it's about expectation. It looks beyond what is and leans into what God has said will be. Even in the here and right now, for the local prophetic word spoken over our lives, we need to know that when it lines up with the word of God, we can look forward to that word. When God speaks to us and moves us and directs us in the path of righteousness for his name's sake, that means that no matter what business you're getting ready to start, no matter what venture you're getting ready to get into, no matter what path you're trying to take to mend relationships, you know that God is going to prosper you and you're going to be in good health. You see, to be promise focused is to live in such a way that your eyes, your decision, and direction are all shaped by what God has declared for you. Not by what you can see, not by what you currently see, because what you currently see can look pretty jacked up, toe up from the floor up even. And you may ask God, why am I going through all this? And if you're asking that question, it's because you've taken your eyes off the prize and the promises of God has become dull in your mind. But when you can see the promise of God ahead of you, confidence will engulf you and you will walk into the unknown with the known presence of God before you. You see, our confidence is our witness. In a world full of fear, confusion, and constant change, a believer's calm, confident trust in God stands out like a lighthouse in a storm. Your peace, when everything around you is in chaos, becomes a sermon in motion, a testimony that points others to the one who anchors your very soul. You see, your calm in chaos is a light to those lost in the storm. Matthew 5:16 tells us, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and do what? Glorify your Father which is in heaven. You see, confidence in chaos is what it's all about. When life is uncertain, we know that God is not. When your refuge is in God, your strength and your God lies in the purpose and promise of God for your life. You don't need all the answers. You need a heart that trusts, a mind that submits, and a spirit that is anchored in his word. You see, if you want to be kept, you need to be in his word because his word is the only thing he's going to keep. So I implore you to choose trust over fear. Choose confidence over control. And let the peace of God carry you through uncertain times at all times. So if you've been overwhelmed by uncertainty, I simply ask you to come and just lay that down before the Lord right now. Ask him to be your refuge. Ask him to be your strength. Ask him to be your guide in the midst of the chaos that engulfs you right now. Let him show you that even in the unknown and the unanswered questions in your life, he's enough. He's enough. Because in the midst of that storm, I pray that you may learn to navigate the uncertainty with the unwavering confidence that comes from knowing and trusting our God. God bless you. That's all I got for you today, dear hearts. I'm going to invite you to join us next week as we go into a very powerful lesson entitled Spiritual Warfare and the Armor of God. Wow. You don't want to miss this lesson. So we want to thank you for listening. You can re-listen to this lesson on our YouTube page, Kingdom Thinking 412. Please put the 412 in front of that, or you will have a plethora of Kingdom Thinking YouTube pages. And you can send this message to all of those that you love, know, and care about. And as always, may the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the kingdom dwell with you all the days of your life. God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday.